Jeb Jarrell, what's the word?
Cattywampus.
Strip Club Video with Danny Meyers, Dane Hansen, and Jeb Jarrell starts now.
Cattywampus?
Cattywampus, the word of the day.
Got it, man. Hey, Strip Club Video. We're back with another episode. We're going to have a little bit of fun here today. My name is Danny Meyers. You know, I never really introduce you guys by your club titles, and so I wanted to do that right now. We got Dane Hansen. He's with us. He is the general manager of the Pony 2 in Huntsville, Alabama. Dane has worked both as a DJ and as a manager, so we're going to actually tie into both sides of your expertise here today. Jeb Jarrell over there, he is DJ at Pony Bama. Got LaRue's old gig, man. Sweet gig out there. You also have worked in both management and DJing. I DJ at a club called Diamonds Cabaret in Dayton, Ohio. I have never been in management, and I have no desire to ever do it.
Smart man.
And I do go to management meetings, and I do have ideas. So what I wanted to do today, we want to do this little thing called putting the show back in the show club. Let me get that right graphic up there. Because what's interesting, we did a show, I think it was 3 weeks ago, that we did on here, and it was all about how the show has changed since the 90s, what was different about the 90s and now. And I think the general consensus came out that things have changed a lot because we're not really putting a show on as much as now. The emphasis is more on selling private dances, selling private rooms, and things like that. But, I had so many comments on there about how can we get the show back in the show club. I know we're limited. You guys know the whole restrictions as being managers on what you can actually tell an entertainer to do and not to do. But I think there are some things that we can do to kind of put the show back in there a little bit and put a little more pizzazz, I guess, in the show. One of the things I wanted to start off with was feature performers. I think that a lot of times our entertainers don't really see what other the features are doing. They get stale. A lot of clubs don't have liras and silks and things like that. So one of the things you do when you bring in a feature performer, and I'm talking about the showgirls, not the porn stars. The showgirls can kind of entertain your entertainers and can maybe motivate your entertainers to do something different. I think, for example, Annie Lane, who I think is, one of the best out there, if not the best, as far as overall entertainment for your club. The way she talks to the crowd in between, the way she works with people, the way she does shots with people. And
I knew Jameson was going to come up some way.
Jameson had to come up in there, but Annie's great. But, I thought, just doing things like that, because the showgirls, they're like a quarter of the price of the porn stars in general. Some are more, some are less, but you don't have to jack the door charge up, and you could do that to maybe motivate your girls to start doing some different things. What do you guys think about bringing showgirls in?
I love them to death because they actually perform, and I have, I've been able to work with a lot of different markets, and I've seen the impact that showgirls have in several different markets. And some markets, it's a huge impact on the entertainers. They haven't seen some of those tricks or moves or routines or energy even put forth. And seeing that all together kind of encourages them to copycat it a little bit for a week or two. Some of the bigger markets, it didn't have the same impact. It's one of those where only a name has a draw and the entertainers didn't even pay attention. So it kind of depends on your market and how your girls are.
Mm-hmm. Dane?
I also think that it matters if you're booking a showgirl. And
true, yeah.
Buyer beware. Make sure you do your research and you are actually getting what you think you're getting.
Just because she calls herself a feature doesn't necessarily mean she is one.
Over the years, there's a whole lot less features out there than there used to be. So the quality has gone down, I think, and the training ground's gone down. Same as DJ, same as everything else. It's not putting down one direct area of the industry. The quality's gone down all the way around on a lot of aspects. The show, as we were talking about before, just because of laws and rules and internet and laziness and participation trophies and culture and all that kind of stuff. It's brought everything down to to a different level. I'm not saying that everybody does that. I'm not saying that every club is the same. And definitely what Jeb said, when I was in Vegas, booking a feature there, if it's not a porn star or a name that you're better off booking a reality TV star to host something versus booking a feature out there because of the name draw. That's all you're doing it for, is that name draw. When you book a feature, a showgirl, not a porn star, you're doing it for motivation, probably for more of the show itself. And it does depend on what kind of club it is. If you're booking the porn stars, again, and even in a smaller market, you're going to pack the place. But, note to self, I mean, I would think you'd probably want to pack the place on a night it's not already packed. So you might want to figure out when you're going to, when the features are going to come in, so that you can utilize that to maximize how much money you're going to make, I think.
Yeah, I think when I first broke into this business, we used to run features Tuesday through Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
But it's hard to get those girls in there on those days now, and that's 90% of the problem. Is they're like, I'm not coming on Sunday through Wednesday, or I'm not coming on Tuesday, Wednesday, because they know that they think in their head they're not going to make that much money. But if you think about it, they're going to draw all those people in, and they're just going to be there for them. I don't know. I think it's a harder sell to the feature to get her to book on those days.
Mhm.
But I don't know. They get pretty good guaranteed money if you're talking about those girls. So I don't know. I think that it might be worth it to kind of go down that avenue and see how that works.
And there's a lot fewer features, at that level performing now there used to be. Like, I love all the girls that are at the top, but I can count them all on one hand. And it used to be a lot larger group. I think it's starting to build. I always encourage some of those younger ones coming up, but that market's really tough. I feel for the showgirls. It's hard for them to get the draw anymore because TikTok and BET After Dark and so many other of these ideas have been programmed into these entertainers' heads and even the customers' heads that they just shake their butt, you throw the money, and it's a party. Which I don't mind, that's part of it. But the show on the stage has definitely disappeared. They get on stage and the first thing they have to do is touch a pole like they're on base, and they do the 2 pole tricks to kill time, and then they clean the pole again, and then they shake their butt for a second, and that was the show. A little eye contact. I miss outfits. I miss routines. Every now and then, if the girl does something, I try to encourage that as much as possible. I go out of my way to give her a little extra show, a little extra push. Anytime that they're doing something extra, I want to encourage it as much as possible. And the kind of copycat syndrome happens. One will do an extra thing and I'll promote it. And then the next one has to do something extra. It becomes contagious. And I get a pretty good response on bringing the show back that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you, you guys both out in Huntsville, Indiana, or Alabama. I mean, Huntsville,
we moved
Alabama.
To Indiana. We went north.
Indiana, Alabama. They all get the same number of syllables. Damn it. You guys out at the Ponies just did the G-String Invitational, and the G-String Invitational, you had 7 features, 7. Six national features came out there, some new, some established, and you guys did a little competition for a title. Do you think that motivated your entertainers to maybe did they see things with the showgirls and maybe up their game a little bit? I'll go to Jeb first.
Well, that night they definitely did.
Yeah,
the night of the show, everyone was like full tilt. It had a little residual, but honestly, not that much. My entertainers don't have that much time on stage. A lot of times it's a 1-song set. You're at 3 minutes and they're running. So
I got you.
So it doesn't have that much of an impact in our particular situation on a Friday or Saturday night. But the Thursday night we had the competition, it definitely did. Okay. Whenever it's a slower night, the girls have more time. It's less pressure on the timing of moving them through. So they have more time on stage. And attitude's a big thing. Their attitude of if it's professional and it's a party at the same time always happens with feature competitions.
Dane, you had the grand finals at Pony 2.
I think that it sets a good example. I think that, the bar was raised a little bit that night for sure. Maybe the next couple of days, people talk about it and, oh, that was cool. Did you see this? Did you see that? I want to learn how to do it, but it's the follow through, and that could be on us too. I mean, but at the same time, do I want to push all my girls to go try to be features and leave and take off? I don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So maybe it's a little selfish reasons behind it. But I think it does motivate. I think I wish that the costuming and all that stuff would sell a little more to the girls. I do miss that. I miss maybe not even the gowns, just dresses and something,
Something to take
I
off.
mean, because they're walking up there and they're already naked and there's nothing to do. And then they stand around or they crawl around and there's just, they're missing so much of what they could be doing to make more money. And again, I guess that falls on the teachers,
Mhm.
so.
And you can only encourage nowadays. You can't, back in the day, it was dictated. It was mandatory. I mean, even as recently as 9 or 10 years ago, clubs finally gave up on the daily and they do it like once a week where everyone had to dress up. When it's not required, they're going to go as easy as possible. And I kind of miss that. And you can only verbally encourage as much as you can, to dress up a little bit more. I have to encourage them to dress up to walk in the club. They come to work sometimes dressed like I wouldn't expect to see them at Walmart. And that's part of that attitude too, where they're not quite taking it as professional as.
But the customers do the same thing. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like
why they think they should wear flip flops and gym shorts and pajamas to the strip club blows my mind.
It's 3:00 in the morning. What'd you think I was going to have on? I'm like, what?
Yeah. That's something for a whole nother show. But I do remember, back when I first started in regular clubs back in the 80s and stuff, you didn't wear jeans to a club. You didn't wear gym shoes to a club. I mean, that's changed.
Then they couldn't have a hole in the jeans, and then then when holes in the jeans were the thing, and then you couldn't have a hole in them. It's a $300 pair of jeans, but you can't have a hole in them. You can't wear them anywhere. So, I mean, it's the sweatpants and the expensive sweatpants and the not expensive sweatpants. And I mean, there's so many, I think it's just got to be black and white. I don't think there can be any gray area. You can wear this, you can't wear that. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a root of it too, is how you start at the door with your policies. If you require a certain dress code, and keep that level, then your entertainers are going to increase their dress. The environment has a lot to do with it too. You can improve the quality of the performance by improving the quality of your customers.
It's the same thing you said with bringing the features in for the G-string and everything like that. They see it, they raise the bar a little bit. If you do the same, like Jeb said, at the door, from the bar, from wherever you do it, the presentation of your drinks, the presentation of your staff, all those things will raise the bar to everybody else, which will tend to fall in line most of the time.
Good points. We had talked about, you were just talking about, why maybe because it's a 1-song set and the girls are rushed. I think that's the advantage I have. I do 3-song sets. We're a totally nude club up in Dayton, Ohio. 3-song sets. So they've got a whole, second song or whatever that they could do those kind of things and then still, be able to collect their money. So I think that's a good point to make. If you're only up there for 3 minutes, it's going to be hard to get them to do more of a show. But if you've got them up for 9 minutes, I think that's an advantage I have. So that's one of the things I'm pushing for.
An advantage or a disadvantage, because if they're supposed to have, a lot of them will stand up there in that aspect and not take their top off until the last song, or not to, know what I mean? So it's a completely different backfire plan.
Yeah, it works for us.
Speak,
First song closed, second song topless, third song nude. Bam. No varying from that.
Closed as what? They're wearing a bikini?
No, well, we just did away with gowns about a year ago. We had the sequin gowns up until a year ago, and just sort of, I'm not exactly sure because I'm not in management. I just go in one day and they say we're not doing gowns anymore, but I would imagine it's just run its course a little bit.
They're tired of trying to enforce it, and they're really tired of listening to all the bitching about it, honestly. I mean, because none of the girls want to do it. They don't want to spend the money on it, first of all, which is understandable. But at the same time, it should be an investment. It's all tax write-off if they, they can, so they can write off their costumes. It's not something that they can't get a break on. But it's, you kind of get what you pay for. I don't know. I think that they've got to put more into the product, because it's. I don't know. There's a shelf life on the product, and the product, if you want to keep the product looking nice, you should probably do the upkeep.
It's definitely, they can never tell me it's because of the cost of the gown. I know how much they spend on the hair, on the eyelashes.
Yeah, and I know how much those gowns, and I don't know how much the gowns cost when she brings them in. So she brings them in every week, and I know how much they cost, and they're not that expensive, and they're about as expensive as the damn eyelashes.
Yeah, and the BBLs and everything else. Okay, well let's shift gears a little bit. We talked about bringing in features and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that we as a club
BBLs,
can do. Danny? What's that?
I said you said BBLs, Danny.
Yeah, Brazilian butt lifts. Brazilian butt lifts.
I know what you meant. You just kind of slid that in there, and then just moved on to something. Moved on to something else. I wanted to make sure I got what you were saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have 2 girls that have that are now my new New Booties. So yeah, they look nice. Let's talk a little bit about some of the promotions the club can do to kind of just change the show around. This gets away from what the entertainers can do, but what the club can do to just basically stop the whole this girl. I mean, no matter how hot your girls are, sometimes that just gets old. A girl, next girl. You got to do some different things. You guys out in Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, I got it right that time. Huntsville have been doing some really, really whack, crazy promotions. And you did something. Now, I used to do Are You Smarter Than a Stripper, which is nothing that I'm, have exclusively, because that was done all over the place and maybe ran its course. But Dane, out at your club, Pony 2, you have a cool new spin on the old Are You Smarter Than a Stripper? And tell me about that.
We did on April Fool's Day. We did a stripper spelling bee, and it went pretty well. I think it could have gone better. We're going to do them every 6 months now, apparently. So it went well enough to do that. I've got a list of questions for ED Publications that they want to do an article on it. So it got some traction, which is cool. The idea itself is great. The presentation of it, I could have done better in. I'd like to record it and do a broadcast of it with better quality, so people can hear what's going on and make it more interactive. I think that making it maybe more of a Family Feud kind of thing with a group of guys versus a group of girls, or customers versus the girls, or something. I'm coming up with some different spins on it, but overall, the way we did it this time, it went well. The words were the key to the thing. I think that it took me over a week of looking through all kinds of stuff to find words for it, which was it was fun, but it was very tedious at the same time, because I got definitions and words and from all over the place. And the winning word was succubus. So, succubus.
Yeah, give me some ideas, like some words, some of the cool ones, like succubus. How did you use that in the show?
Well, we just that was the winning word. So she was the last girl. If she would have missed the spelling of it, she could have gone to got a lifeline, which means she could have gone to any of the customers in the crowd and asked one of them if they could spell it for her, and they would have saved her. And then she would have gotten another word to move on to. Wow. They had to. I gave them the word and the definition of the word, and they had to use it in a sentence, because the words were, most of them, from Dirty Dictionary or the Urban Dictionary or different places. The definitions were different than you would think the normal definition would be, so they had to use it in that way. My favorite was one of the first ones, and it was a redheaded lady. And the word was fire crotch, and it was very funny to me. I was banking on the fact that she would show up that night to do the contest, and she did. So it was pretty funny. But some of the words I thought that they would get, they didn't. Excuse me. They didn't even get. Sorry about that. They didn't even get close to. And they didn't want to spell, and the words that I didn't think they would get, they got. So I think next time I'm probably going to just put a list of words in a bowl and have them draw one out, because the fairness aspect of it, I'll do around one group of words, around two group of words, and do a different bowl for each one, None of them over a certain length or, something like that, just because of the fact that they thought I was just picking out words that were harder for some than the others. And I really didn't, I really didn't think some of them were that hard. I swear, I looked at them and I'm like, all right, this is pretty easy. And I gave it to them and they looked at me like, you're an asshole. And I'm like, oh, shit. Sorry. My bad. I didn't think that was that difficult a word, but.
Spell cat. K-A-T. Well, that's how she spells it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You forgot the silent Y.
Oh. Oh, you guys, I know it wasn't at your club, but one of your sister clubs or whatever you guys call the other clubs just did Peeps and Puddings, was it?
Oh,
What was
Peeps
that?
and Pudding.
Uncle Buck's Booby Bungalow.
There's no G on
yeah.
the end of that. It's Peeps and Pudding.
It was a pudding wrestling where the customers got to throw marshmallow peeps at the wrestling participants inside the pool of pudding. And it was way more fun than I just described, I guarantee.
Yeah.
I wish that I could have been there for it. Lacey was the referee for the event, and which I don't know how that came about, where she was the one in charge of keeping the peace, because that usually doesn't happen. But apparently did a good job with it. So props to her for keeping everybody from almost everybody from going to the hospital.
Yeah.
So everybody ended up okay. But I guess that from what everybody says, it was a really good turnout. The night went well. There was people from all 4 clubs, all 4 girls and customers from all 4 clubs that participated. So it went pretty well.
And what's the next event?
The next event
in the pool.
Oh, in the pool, I'm not sure what the next one is. If it's the biscuits and gravy, or if it's
biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy.
There's a biscuits and gravy one. There's a couple of them that they're talking about doing, but the biscuits and gravy is an annual one that they're going to do also, and where then they throw biscuits, of course, and they wrestle in the gravy. So
yeah,
Uncle Buck's is a very fun place. I enjoy going in there. And without a doubt, a country western rock and roll, titty bar with pool tables and the real kind of country vibe.
Fun things go down at the Booby Bungalow.
Without a doubt. It's a fun place.
Yeah. When I worked at the Harem, we did chocolate syrup wrestling, where you just put a pool out, a swimming pool, a little kiddie pool on the stage, and you get 2 girls, of course, dressed very skimpy. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, so we had, we'd put them in there, and then I would auction off bottles of chocolate syrup to the customers. And, they could come up, and the whole thing was, make sure you shoot it on their body. Don't shoot it on their face. I know you want to and all that stuff, but, no shooting it in the face and just all those little things. And we auctioned off the bottles, and the girls made some money, and we had some fun. Those are the kinds of things that I like doing. I'm not set up to do them at this particular club. There's just the stage is set up different, but I would love to. Just different things like fetish night and fantasy night, where you can get your girls to dress up in different things. We did a Comic-Con when I worked at the Harem. We called it the Harem Con. And, all the girls came as their favorite con characters. So, that was always a good one. Naked Twister. There's another fun one right there, where you put the twister board out, and you basically have the spinning board, and you auction off, or $5 you can spin it and call it out, for the customers, and just different things like that. It just shakes up the night from what we were talking about, girl after girl after girl. Any other crazy ones you guys can think of?
Man, I kept a twister board, a twister box in every DJ booth I've been in forever. That's a great slow time killer. Energy change up. I use the bachelorette birthday hot seats a lot on the weekend as my breakup. It's kind of a chance to play with the crowd and engage a little differently than just say, "Hey, look at the girl."
Yeah.
That helps a lot. But we do those events constantly. We have the superheroes and villains coming up with our fetish ball, which is we do it a little differently. They actually the house mom put in tons of work and writes down unique and interesting fetishes on cards, and 2 cards.
Mhm.
and they hand them out to entertainers and customers. And when they find a match, then, they get to have their deal of a VIP dance and a conversation of that weird fetish. So we're definitely trying to change things up constantly.
Mhm. I'll tell you, we're running a little longer than normal, but before we close the show, I want to, because I don't want to put everything off on everybody else. We as DJs, what can we do to up the show? And I mean, for me, I always try just using different inflection, just talking differently, introducing girls differently, just something to break up the monotony. If you have a good light show, man, get on that, use that to your advantage. There's nothing like having an entire blue room switching to an entire red room, and all those things. They shake up the night a little bit. And what about you guys? What things can a DJ do to kind of get out of the routine of just calling this girl and calling this girl and calling this girl? I know, Jeb, you use the echo thing.
Well, that just comes from the residual training of having to say every girl's name 3 times because even the drunkest one finally hears it. For me, you got to change up. There are times I can sit down and have the conversation. There are times I need to stand up and transfer the energy that way. There are times doing a couple of jumping jacks, get the blood flowing, will change the energy coming through your voice. Definitely pay attention to the lights. Ignore them for 20 minutes and then pay attention to them for 20 minutes so the room changes. That adds the energy to it. Pay attention to your rotation. You might have a few showgirls that, girls that do a little extra, show on the stage coming up, and move it around, put them together, make a showcase out of nowhere. That could boost the energy too. Use every tool you've got in the box to keep your night going with the same energy and excitement. We're there every night. We get kind of bored because we're doing the same thing. The customer's not. And that's where our focus is, and trying to make sure they're having a good time. Say your jokes, say your lines, do your routine, because they may not have seen it. Just because you're bored with it it may still kill. So stay fresh, stay on it, and keep doing it.
I think you got to keep the rotation. Definitely got to keep the rotation fresh. Don't want to run the same kind of music too many times in a row. You want to keep variety going back and forth. If you run through the rotation one time and it doesn't work, change it up. Make something that does work. Keep that fresh. Keeps the girls on their toes too, so they don't go, oh, hey, I'm waiting for this girl. I follow her, and then the girl goes to VIP, and then you lose a girl. So I think that shuffling the lineup around here and there for things to make things work better musically and the way they look and everything. I mean, you got to change it up to make sure that you don't lose a room for any particular reason. You don't want to play 10 rock songs in a row and have, a bunch of people walk out, or vice versa, play hip hop or EDM or whatever. I think that has a big relevance on your room. But back to the DJ part of it, what they can do, I think they have the biggest connection and the most interaction with the dancers other than the house mom, that they know which girls want to step up their game. They know which girls want to do that show. So push that, get them to do that, get interactive with them and help them to do those shows, because when other girls see them, then it will become contagious. Because if the house girl can, she can do it, well, why can't I do it? And look at all the money or attention she got when she did it. I can get that attention, or I want that attention too. So I think the DJ should really utilize that relationship and maybe build a little stronger relationship with the entertainers than a lot of them have now, and maybe use that to their advantage and to the club's advantage. It does show a little more worth from the DJ side if you're putting in the time and effort to do those things. More value to the owners and managers. So maybe that just a little tad bit of advice there.
Yeah. Well, what I love about doing this show is every time I do this show, I get off of here and I say I learned something. I hang around with you two and I get smarter.
You bet. You're the only one.
How does that happen?
Oh, are we ready for Expo? It's coming up in Expo's coming up in what, 5-6 weeks? It's coming up soon, man.
Quick.
Yeah, we're all going to be down in Miami. I did a little show yesterday for all the unemployed people, or all the people who want to move around. This industry with COVID has changed a lot of things. It's created a lot of jobs because a lot of people gave up on this industry and went into something new. So what they're doing down there this year is a little emphasis on recruiting. So if you're out of work or if you're looking to up your game or change positions or, for DJs, managers, entertainers, everybody, man, go to Expo, the edexpo.com. That's your website. You want to check that out. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Ready for Expo, ready for a vacation.
Definitely ready.
Yeah.
Ready for a different view, little scenery.
Yeah, there we go, man. Okay. Thanks, guys, man. Strip Club Video.